Alright guys, hello. Welcome to the Intel Drop. It is June, if this scroll thing will work, it's June 16th, 2021. Thank you for being back here. A lot of really bad stuff has started to happen in the last 24 hours and in 48 hours. We got some very concerning things on the horizon, so let's get into it. As always, like and share the video. We're still trying to grow this new channel up to 300 subscribers so we can get our Odyssey channel back. That would be great, but let's get right into it. Thank you for being here. Texas asked to safely reduce their electric use immediately to tight grid conditions. I think I had something else here. Residents of Texas being asked to raise their thermostat to 78 degrees or higher and unplug electronics. That's a lot. So this has been getting a lot of news frequently, and it has in the past too, and I've brought it up in the news, but I'm learning more about the situation, and it's changed my perspective a little on it, mainly in the fact that I'm seeing this as less of actually craziness. The reason being, similar events happen to the US grid as a whole, but I'm learning that they've actually been kind of covered up. There are numerous attacks on our grid, but they're mislabeled, and these attacks are released in a report by the US Energy Department. But they're always covered up and mislabeled as other things, as just instances with the grid. And in going on with the with the happenings, you can see that these are clear attacks, and you can mash them up to, DOJ said there was an incident this time and this time, and you go to a local news article, and it was like, someone attacked the grid at this time. There have been numerous attacks on the grid. Cyber attacks on the grid occur all the time, but you don't hear about it ever happening at all, except for in Texas. For some reason, Texas publishes this information and puts it out there. Now, something like this is pretty hard to cover up. I will admit that Texas does seem to be a little bit worse, probably by quite a bit. But the U.S. energy grid as a whole is very susceptible to cyber attacks and has been getting hit a lot. They just cover it up. I think the bigger thing we need to be looking at in this case is not Texas, but the U.S. grid as a whole. The problem is, they don't really tell us what's going on with that. In fact, they cover it up. They don't want us to know what's going on with it. So I think if there's a way that we can do that, I can do more reporting on the U.S. grid and what really is going on with that they're not going to tell you, that would be more beneficial to you. I'm trying to get a good list compiled or good sources to show me what is happening with the U.S. grid. For the moment, we'll just tell you what's happening with the Texas grid. Biden was over 2.5 hours late to his news conference at the NATO summit. Wonderful. Vladimir Putin warned yesterday that joining NATO is unacceptable for Ukraine. Ukraine joining NATO is probably going to be a pretty big point of contention. I think that Russia's going to react to that happening. Could it result in war? Yeah. Will it? We'll have to see. But it's definitely going to be a point that Russia will respond to in some form. Columbus, Ohio City Council approves program to pay residents $100 to get the... Okay. Dog food with salmonella meat to be meant to be thrown out was accidentally sent to stores in several states. Wonderful. This can happen with humans too. In fact, it happens quite frequently with humans. They just usually cover it up. There's so much craziness that happens in the U.S. Absolute ridiculousness and mess ups that cause serious death and harm, but they're just covered up because it would destroy the companies. Take, for example, some stuff that just came out about Airbnb and them literally writing blank checks to employees so that the employees won't tell what's been going on at Airbnb and the horrible events that take place, and the fact that they have a terrible background check system. They've got no clue who's staying at their houses. So terrible things happen there. But they write blank checks to their employees to keep quiet. Nobody talks about it. Same thing happens with corporations all over. We just have Airbnb as the one that we can see. We can't see all the rest of it that's going on. It's bad. You probably heard about this already. There was a massive explosion at an Illinois chemical plant. It was pretty bad. This was I think the largest plant in the U.S. that makes grease. These are used for many industrial applications, including food. So that was a pretty big point of news. We will see if that has an effect on the supply chain. While this is the biggest plant that does that, there are many other plants that do the same thing. So I don't think it's going to halt increased production. Could it drop? Certainly. Is it going to cause a shortage? I don't think so. Then again, we'll have to see on this one. 28 large Asian nation jets have violated Taiwanese airspace after the USS Ronald Reagan carrier sailed into the South Large Asian Nation Sea for patrol. 28 is a lot. We used to have 1 or 2 or 4. Now we have 28. That's a lot. Hundreds of people given expired doses in Times Square. About 899 New Yorkers. Okay, that's kind of what happens when you let people give you well, I can't go into what it is because they'll ban me. But let's just say it's not exactly all above the table. Gaza militants have launched more incendiary balloons towards Israel. Explosions heard in southern Israel. So, this was something that I reported on last Intel Drop on Monday. I said there's the potential for conflict. There is now conflict. We will see how far this escalates. It doesn't look like it's a war right now, but the ceasefire has been broken by Gaza, and then Israel broke the ceasefire with actual fire, but Gaza did provoke this. So Israel decides to do a flag march, which is what I said before. Hamas says we are going to fight back. Now Hamas inside of Gaza, has, after this flag march, launched incendiary balloons into Israel, which fell and started many fires. And now, later on in this, I think, Israel has launched attacks into Gaza. So, conflict did result in that. We predicted that correctly. But that was pretty easy to predict. When Hamas says they're going to do something, at least now, they're probably going to do something. Before, it was a little iffy, just posturing. Now, they're starting to do stuff. Southwest Airlines has canceled all flights to the United States due to a nationwide computer glitch. This has since been fixed, but it was a problem for a significant part of the day. I think this might have been Monday or Tuesday. This was a significant part, a problem in that day, and flights were grounded, and there was nothing you could do about it, trying to get this computer glitch fixed. This plays into the cyber attack theory that Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum has been talking about, where we are going to see increased cyber attacks, which we have, and this just is another one of those cyber attacks. Cyber attacks is going to be the biggest threat that we're going to face. I predicted that early on, and it was very easy to predict. All I have to do is say, let's look at Klaus Schwab's track record. Well, he predicted the thing that was going around. You know what that is. He predicted that pretty spot on. So when he says that something's going to come out and be bigger than that, I tend to believe him. We have barely even seen the start of these cyber attacks. The reason I say that is because they haven't actually affected our critical infrastructure yet. Sure, you can't fly certain places. Sure, maybe one place or another doesn't have the water they like, or some meat goes out of stock, or some gas goes up 25%, or even 50% in some cases. But you can still get gas, you can still get food, water still flows, and electricity still runs. Should a cyber attack be truly effective in any of these things, it will devastate American lifestyle and America will be doomed. If electricity is turned off for a matter of days, the country is gone. The chaos that will result in those days is going to be too much to be repaired. That's my prediction on that. We will see where things start to go with that, but that's why I put a lot of effort into preparing for total collapse. Maybe other people don't think that's probable. I think it totally is. If the electricity goes down for a few days, at those end of those 3 days, you're not going to be thinking about how we can get the electricity back on. You're going to be thinking about, how do we get food? How do we get water? There's no water now. How do we protect our home from the people in the streets? That's what you're going to be thinking about. The problems are going to multiply exponentially, and it's a reason that I put a lot of effort into thinking about these things before they happen, because they will happen. It's only a matter of time. It happens in every nation that goes through the signs that we are going through right now. It's just a bet. Then again, I probably won't be on YouTube to actually say I was right about those things. There will be much more important things to focus on, and YouTube will not be on the priority list at that point in time. I posted this video. Ronaldo, he's a soccer player. I don't watch soccer, but I do know of him. So he came out and there was some Coke, because sponsored players, they usually put products all over. You know how it works. He had some Coke on his desk, and he moved the Coke away, picked up the water, and said agua. He's rejecting Coke and going back to water. Coke is terrible for your health, so that's good. Good for rejecting that. Coke is also a ridiculously woke brand, so good for that. I just hate Coke in general. Coke just is terrible. Hey, you may like the taste of Coke, but you got to realize that it's absolutely horrible for your body, and supporting a brand like that goes against every single American right that and responsibility that we have. So, hey. Biden administration asked Americans to report potentially radicalized friends and family. One of my people I watch, Guns Coast to Coast, he did a video on this subject, a really short video, but his videos are always great and right to the point. And that's where I learned of this, so I looked into it. Yeah, it's totally true. This is exactly what's happening, and it's really that bad. If you wanted any proof, we are in a Nazi age or in a communist age. If you wanted any proof of that, here it is. He is telling you to turn in your friends and family, or even in an end times age. This is the state we are in. The U.S. government wants you to turn in your own friends and family. So, that's just it. Employees at Lake City Ace Hardware in Seattle tried to enforce the mask mandate with a bat, and they were hitting customers who refused to put a mask on. Okay, it's really that bad, I guess. Playing again is a cyber attacks. HMM confirms a cyber attack on the email system. HMM is a very large shipping company. They're going after the supply chain. We knew that was going to happen. So, one sec. Okay. Arizona governor signs executive order banning schools from requiring masks and tests for the thing. Good. We need to see more of this. On the other hand, Moscow has ordered mandatory in most retail service sectors by decree. That's just wonderful. I will not be going to Russia anytime soon. So, that is everything we have for news this morning. Probably my most important point that I'd like to discuss is something I've already discussed, and it's the cyber attacks. Cyber attacks are only increasing. They're getting worse and worse and worse. And we are going to have some significant problems to deal with regarding that. We will see where that goes. We will see how bad it gets. From all predictions of the experts on the issue, it's going to get pretty bad. Like really, really, really bad. What can you do to prepare for something like that? Pretty simply, just prepare for a collapse of the system. And that's not simple, I understand that, but how do you prepare for a cyber attack? Cyber attacks are going to destroy the system. Prepare for a collapse of the system. What does that mean, live without the system? What does that mean? What do you rely on for the system right now? You rely on it to get your food, because I'm assuming you're not growing all of your food or farming it. You rely on it to get your water, unless you have a well. And you're relying on it to get any medicine you may need, which is fine, because it's pretty hard for you to manufacture your own medicine, but you can order a bunch in advance, or take the supply chain into your own hands and not go through one of these proxies, just go straight to the source. Anyways, do you rely on them for fire, EMS, or police service, or are you able to be all of those things? It's hard to be your own fire service, but medical services and police services, you can train on actually pretty easily and become those things. Especially police. I'll be quite honest with you. Police at this point are entirely irrelevant. There was an issue we had, I was hearing about this, about a store in the area that had someone come in and steal stuff, and people called the police right when it happened. It took the police 2 hours to get there. And this is like city police. This is just not some rural county or some little over. This is a very large police force. It took them 2 hours to get there. Some cities are just legalizing theft entirely, and the police won't do a thing. Stop relying on the police, please. The police are not following their oath and are not following the Constitution and are turning I would like to use the word traitor at this point, but I know there's a lot of them that still are really wanting to help their communities. They just don't even realize what they're doing. Anyways, so we're not going to go into that discussion. This is just to say you can be your own police. At this point, they're not even effective at what they do in most cases, and they're probably going to arrest you, the law-abiding citizen. Law-abiding citizen. I hate the term law-abiding citizen. You were never meant to be a law-abiding citizen, because eventually, in every case, the government will get too big and too tyrannical, and then you'll have to not be a law-abiding citizen. Don't think of yourself as a law-abiding citizen. Think of yourself as a moral citizen, or a Christian citizen, a God-fearing citizen, an American citizen. One of these things. Think about yourself as that. You are a citizen to something higher. You are not a slave to the law. Because eventually, the law will turn against you. Think about that. But you can be that. Other ways to disconnect from the system. That's pretty much the big ones. Electricity. You rely on them for your electricity, for your natural gas, for electricity is a really big one. But these things are hard to disconnect from, but considering the age we are going to, it's very important that you at least think about them and hopefully start to, at some level, take control of. What does that mean? If you have the time or the capability to start farming, think about that. Or even to meet other people who go farm. Find people in your local community who do farming. Maybe you can work out a deal with them. Maybe you can drill a well in your backyard. Now, some of you can't, but if you can get on well water, it would be very beneficial to you. Medicine, just buy a bunch of it in advance, stockpile it. There's no excuse not to, and get it from the source instead. You can go directly to some of these suppliers if you know where you're looking. Electricity, that's going to be harder, but you can do it. Maybe solar power. Maybe, electricity is really up to you, but generators, find a way that if the power does go down, you can at least have some power until you can figure enough stuff out that you can turn the lights off and not be suddenly in the dark. You can, what's the other stuff we still had? We still had like one more thing I discussed. Food, water, electricity. I'm forgetting it now. Anyways, I think you get the point. Cyber attacks are going to destroy the system. And there's some easy ways that you can disconnect yourself from the system, or at least start to think about that, so that when this stuff does get to the point of no return, and it gets really, really bad, you'll already have thought through this basic level stuff, so that when it comes, you're not blindsided, and I'm not going to be blindsided. I don't have all of it figured out. I can't support massive electricity production. I don't have huge farms. I don't have well water. But at least I've thought through this stuff, so that when it does happen, I've already thought through what I need to be doing and what I need to be gathering because of what I have a deficiency on and cannot produce. Think through this stuff beforehand. Even if you're not able to do it, it will be extremely beneficial to you. Even if you come up with the conclusion that, well, I can't do that. At least you thought it through. So think about this stuff. It's going to be really important. That's all I have for you this morning. Thank you for watching and thank you for being here. Remember, like and share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you guys think of this. Helps the channel, and we're trying to get to 300 subscribers so we can get an Odyssey channel once again. Thank you guys for being here. If you do want to look at any of my previous predictions, my old channel is BrerHoneybadger Redacted. You should be able to search for that. So if you want to look through my old videos and find some of my predictions, it's about time that some more stuff is going to start coming true, but I didn't predict it because of any sort of crazy wisdom. It's all common sense. We just look at what the people in power say is going to happen, and we say they're probably right. That's why I think cyber attacks are going to be a huge threat. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being here. I will be back for another Intel drop on Friday.